1, 2, 3, 4. Current livestock production indicates that there won't be enough meat supply in the upcoming months to meet demand. Yeah, you heard that right. Prices are also predicted to skyrocket, and of course, all of this is taking place within the framework of a much wider crisis that is shaking up not only the food supply network in America, but also the global food supply chain. It was recently revealed that the world's agricultural system are in ruins, with crop losses being more severe than anyone had anticipated due to geopolitical conflicts and the effects of extreme weather. Unfortunately, there is no immediate solution to help us return to normal. This causes more suffering for fragile communities already dealing with hunger, as noted by the news outlet. Right now, starvation is causing individuals to practically collapse on the streets, yet the U.S. is not treating this matter seriously. Our food supply is steadily decreasing, and now we can clearly see how drought-related crop failures and massive cattle herd losses are affecting our food systems. According to the USDA's most recent biannual report, the nation's beef cow herd has fallen to 89.3 million, its lowest level since 2015. Of that number, 38.3 million cows and heifers have just been slaughtered today. The number of beef cows deliberately raised for slaughter and meat sales in the U.S. food system is just 28.9 million, down nearly 4% from previous year, and the lowest the agency has documented since 1962. The issue is that while there are currently 331 million Americans, there were only 184 million in 1962. If shortages and rising prices occurred in 1962 due to the decline in the number of beef cows, we have every reason to believe that they will occur again in 2023. Because we're still purchasing and eating cattle that were slaughtered some time ago. Many average Americans may not be fully understanding the severity of the supply crunch at this time. However, according to Ryan McGinney, editor of Beef Magazine, it won't be long before inventories start to run low for many producers nationwide. In 2022, a nightmare scenario of economic and weather-related challenges had surfaced, with input costs for diesel and fertilizer doubling or perhaps tripling, and a hot, dry summer that only increased dependence on groundwater and the lack of rainfall. According to him, drought conditions were particularly difficult for cattle farmers because they were unable to replenish their diminishing forage supplies. This forced many farmers to call on their herds more frequently than they might have liked. Cattle economists at the University of Kentucky point out that this trend is continuing unchallenged. According to Burdine, there's no denying that the beef cow herd has shrunk due to Brexit, and the falling trend in cattle output does not appear to be changing in 2023. The beef supply chain has a sizable biological lag. Mitchell continued, what shoppers encounter at the grocery store is a result of the struggles cow producers faced a year or two ago. A fresh calf needs around 2 years to mature into the steak you'll have for evening. We cannot overlook the hundreds of our own farms and ranches that are closing, while yet expecting to have access to the same excellent food that we have grown accustomed to filling our shopping carts with whenever we like. If beef is a need for your table, now is the time to store up, because the availability of beef is expected to drop precipitously in 2023, while demand for beef is expected to stay strong. The American beef supply per person is expected to decrease by 5.6% in 2019, according to the most recent USDA monthly projections. If this happens, the availability of beef for U.S. consumers will decrease by the most each year since 1987. Hence, ensure your supply today is essential if you don't want to eat less meat in the future. When the supply fell by 4% in 2003, prices increased by over 25%. The same thing occurred in 2011 when a 3.9% drop in supply caused a 20% increase, and in 2014 when a 3.7% drop in supply caused a 23% price increase. According to Restaurant Dive, the price of beef could increase similarly in 2023 after rising by 22% between 20 and 2022. Given that this summer's beef prices are predicted to increase by 21%, it's no surprise that the corporate media has already dubbed beef a luxury meat. As thousands of small local meat producers are unable to compete with larger, more established companies in the sector, the cattle sale may also lead to their collapse. As a result of the odds being stacked against them and the influx of low-quality imported items into the market, over 100,000 small farms in America will continue to close their doors, according to the Meat Magazine highlights. In addition, the growing demand for meat in developing nations, particularly in Asia, is a factor contributing to the shortage. The consumption of meat in these wealthy nations has increased as a result of increased worldwide demand. We're now more dependent on imported meat to fill the gap in our own stores and diners as a result of the record beef exports from the United States to Asia as a result of the higher demand. People in North Korea, a significant exporter of U.S. beef, practically collapse on the streets from hunger, while a tiny elite controls the country's food supply. On social media recently, a video footage of North Korean monarch King Jeon enjoying food and champagne with his friends while the rest of the country struggles to feed its people incited fury. Many starving North Koreans are reportedly collapsing on the streets every day. According to local news reports, and food supplies at the secret estate are running low. Kim's exclusive access to supplies of food and alcohol seem to be unaffected as the country starves. Due to the perfect storm of natural disaster destroying crops, the Ukraine crisis, and the nation's harsh isolation measures, the situation is rapidly getting worse. Michael Madden, director and founder of NK Leadership Watch, revealed that many North Korean families skip meals in order to prevent running out of food, as a catastrophic starvation crisis looms. To stretch their food supplies, Madden noted that the North Korean families and households reduce the amount of food they eat at meals. Some will only eat 1 or 2 meals per day. Nevertheless, other parts of the world continue to experience worsening food shortages. In Yemen, a humanitarian crisis is affecting millions of children. According to the Global Hunger Index, this nation has the worst hunger in the entire planet. According to physicians, millions of Yemenian children, up to 95% in some areas, are acutely malnourished. We struggle to survive every day, even in our dreams from dawn to dusk. Likewise, Somalia has experienced tremendous hardship due to harsh weather disasters. According to the UN, the drought engulfing the Horn of Africa has caused around 1.3 million people, 80% of whom are women and children, to be eternally displaced in Somalia. The ongoing drought has already grown to be the longest and most severe in recent memory in Somalia. According to the Food Security Working Group, which is co-chaired by the UN Food and Agricultural Organization and the Regional Intergovernmental Authority on Development. This is the result of 5 consecutive poor rainy seasons. Close to 23 million people are believed to be very food insecure in Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya. At this point, more than 11 million animals that are crucial to the health and wealth of many families have died from hunger. Pastoralists and farmers who have seen their crops deteriorate and water sources disappear are among the many people affected in the region. According to Mohammed Mahia, the director of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Society for Africa, these protracted and recurrent droughts brought on by climate change will worsen other already existing, mutual exacerbating humanitarian issues in the area and around the world, including the ongoing hunger crisis. The ugly fact is that while most Westerners don't pay attention to or care what the underprivileged communities on the other side of the earth are going through, tensions are also rising swiftly in wealthy Western nations. For instance, food stores in the UK are currently implementing severe purchasing limitations and rationing some goods. According to the Mail, sales of tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers would be restricted to 3 per client at the UK's largest supermarket, Tesco and Aldi. 3 lettuce, salad bag, broccoli, cauliflower, and raspberry punnets can only be purchased per customer at Asda, while 2 cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, and peppers can only be purchased at Morrison's. According to Justin King, a former chief executive of Sainsbury, limits are also being put in place to prevent one retailer from snatching up the stock of another. High street greengrocers will even start purchasing from supermarket shelves when they are unable to obtain stock from wholesalers. According to a British non-governmental organization, the continuous cost of living problems has led to as many as 4 million children living in food poverty. In January of this year, 22% of households in the UK reported skipping meals or even fasting for the entire day, up from 12% at the same time last year. According to a survey by the Food Foundation, with the cost of fuel, diesel, and several staple commodities rising by over 50%, the UK is currently experiencing its greatest inflation crisis since the 1970s. Every night, millions of children and employees go to bed hungry. Grocery stores struggle to resupply their shelves, and the bad news about our food supply chains keeps on coming. It is reasonable to say that the crisis is merely the start of one that will rock the planet to its very foundation. What do you think about this situation of food scarcity? Let us know in the comments.